G'day and welcome to the NRL Round 25 preview. It's the final round. Top 4 spots up for grabs. 4th is on the line for the Rabbitohs, and also 7th and 8th are not quite settled yet. Let's go to the ladder, brought to you this week by the Melbourne Storm, minor premiers. Again, no funny stuff this week. I just want to salute the Melbourne Storm for continued excellence. They've been sensational all year. If we look at the ladder very quickly, the Rabbitohs and the Seagulls, they're battling for 4th. The Raiders 4 and against. They can't finish any lower than 4th. Manly can jump the Rabbitohs, but there's a 32-point differential they've got to make up. Now, the battle for 7th and 8th. The Sharks and the Tigers play each other, winner take all. Although if they draw and the Broncos lose, guess who goes through? And the Broncos will be out. I can't see it happening unless there's a bit of Italian Serie A dodginess going on. I have seen that before in the past. Not going to happen in the NRL, of course. All right, let's get to it. Round 25, we're starting at ANZ Stadium. The Book of Feuds, the Rabbitohs versus the Roosters. First off, English people, no Ryan Hall, and Sam Burgess is in. He played 48 minutes with that quad injury. And watch him go this week. He's going to be absolutely fired up. It's the Roosters. They need to finish 4th. Look out. The Roosters can't finish any lower than 2nd or any higher than 2nd. So they're going to finish 2nd. You think they'd rest players? No way. It's South Sydney. They want to take some momentum into the finals. If they win next week, they get a week off anyway. So it's all hands on deck. Boyd Cordner is back. But that's actually pushed Angus Crichton to the bench. Me personally, I think it's time for Boyd to move to prop. He's just a battering ram, whereas Angus Crichton in the last month has been playing his origin standard football that we know he can play, and he's popping offloads. He's linking up brilliantly with Latrell Mitchell and Daniel Tupou. I would have kept Crichton on the left edge, to be honest, and played Boyd in the middle. But anyway, Trent knows what he's doing. I'm just a nuffy. Now, Battle of the Sixers. Cody Walker versus Luke Keary should be an absolute perlo. If you remember round 1, they came together because Cody Walker sledged Cooper Cronk, and Luke Keary, the bantamweight, came to his defence. And the other matchup I'm looking for, the magnificent gun number 13s, Cameron Murray and Victor Radley. Murray scored 2 tries last week. Amazing season from him. He's excellent every single week. Victor Radley is one of the best young ball playing locks in the game and hits very, very hard. But with the Roosters, with the full strength team, just minus a couple of injured players, I think they can do this, and I think they'll give South fans the jitters and hope that they don't do a number on them. These are normally close games. I think this will be again Roosters by 8. Which leads us to the first game Friday night. We're at Bankwest Stadium. Eels versus Seagulls. Now, Parramatta have a home semi-final locked up. It'll be an elimination one. We just don't know who they're playing. Manly, if they win and win well, and the Bunnies lose badly, Manly can jump, although it's a bit of a long shot, can jump into 4th. But they've had some shocking news this week. No Tom Trbojevic, torn pec. No Jack Krzyzewski. No Corey Waddell joining Joel Thompson on the sideline, which means they're really under-strengthened the forwards, and that has been one of Manly's strengths all year, is their competitiveness, their effort, and their forward strength through Martin Tapau and Adam Fanua-Blake. I think if Parramatta can hold them in the forwards with Clint Gutherson and Blake Ferguson playing brilliant football on his return, I think at home the Eels are going to get the job done. They played brilliantly against the Broncos. They're unlucky to lose in Golden Point last week. They'll get the lollies this week. Parramatta by 4. Now, the Friday night game, the Melbourne Storm will be celebrating their minor premiership at home. They're taking on the 12th place Cowboys, who are out of the running and on holiday, like my little mate back here. He's already on holiday. The Cowboys, they've been playing well the last couple of weeks, but I can't see them getting over the Storm. The Storm have rested Josh Adokar and Cameron Munster, who's been battling a bit of a shoulder injury, which gives Brodie Croft an opportunity in the 6 jumper to showcase his wares, not only to Craig Bellamy, but to any club who needs a halfback. Hello, Broncos. I think the Storm will be too good. The front row, Nelson Asafa-Solomona, Cameron Smith, Jesse Bromwich, they're going to steamroll downfield, which will give Hughes, Croft and Cameron Smith time to orchestrate a big victory. I'm tipping the Storm by 13. There'll be a field goal there somewhere, surely. Anyway, let's go to Super Saturday. And English people, it's the Raiders, the magnificent Raiders against the Warriors. Now, after a hard month where the Raiders have played the Roosters, the Storm, the Seagulls, the Sharks, Ricky has seen some sense, and he can tell that a couple of his lads need a rest. One in particular is a huge out, John Bateman. So John Bateman's out. Hodgson, Whitehead and Sutton are all playing. And they'll need them on deck. They're playing the Warriors, who really are just limping to the finish line. They're down to 14th. Nothing to play for. It's been another sad end to a season for the Warriors. We're getting quite used to it now. I feel for Warriors fans everywhere. Now, the Raiders can't finish outside the top 4, but if they win or lose and Rabbitohs results, it's either a trip to Sydney or a trip to Melbourne for the Raiders next week. Now, I think the Raiders, even though they've rested players, I think they're going to be far too strong for the Warriors. They still need to carry on that momentum that they've got. They're really grinding out some massive games. They're playing finals footy already, so they're battle hardened. Really looking forward to the battle of the Sixers, Jack Whiten versus Cody Nikorima. And I think in the centres is where the Raiders, once they set it up with Josh Papali in the forwards and Whitehead and Sutton, the centres, Jared Croker and Nick Cottridge, they will absolutely blow away the Warriors. Keep an eye on Isaac Luke, though. He hasn't got a club for next year. This is an final audition for a 2020 hand. Seriously, if you need a backup hooker, Isaac Luke's your man. Raiders by 12 and the Green Machine to finish 3rd. Now, the 5:30 game. We're at ANZ Stadium for the Bulldogs versus the Broncos. Big game for the Broncos. Very simple equation. They win, they play finals footy. If they lose, they still should make it, but we're then at they're hoping there's no gentleman's agreement between the Sharks and the Tigers. Now, the Bulldogs, bad news. Their great run was over last week with the Cowboys knocking them off. Dallin Watene-Selesniak is out. Will Hopewadi's moved to fullback. And that's a really big out for the Dogs because DWZ has really been getting their sets of 6 after a brilliant start with these. He has no fear. His runs back from fullback, mate, I wouldn't want to stand in his way. I'd just let him run past and jump on his back, to be honest. They'll be looking for Kieran Foran, who's been showing some great end-of-season form, to link up with Corey Harawira-Naera. And this is a really good test for the Broncos pack. The young forwards have been getting a lot of reps. David Fafita, Payne Haas, Matt Lodge. But the Bulldogs forwards, one thing they do is give you 100% effort and they hit hard. No one hits harder than Josh Jackson. Darius Boyd was back in form last week in 5'8". Great timing because that's where they've been lacking some game management in the halves. Now, Jake Turpin's back, which is really good news. Sean O'Sullivan looked a bit lost at half back last week, I've got to say. I just think with the Broncos needing to win, they've probably got more points than them, and that will be it because the Dogs are struggling to score more than 2 tries. I think the Broncos by 6. Now, Saturday night, 7:30. It's the game that everyone's been waiting for. Set your clock, set your alarms. This is going to be a ripper. It's the Titans versus the Dragons, 16th versus 15th. Look, to be honest, I reckon both teams should just call it a draw and go to the pub. Seriously, drown your sorrows. Sad seasons for both teams. Callan Watkins, miserable game last week, has now come to the fore. He's been dropped. Now, Callum, I'm assuming, is favouring a soft border for Brexit because his defence last week, he was an absolute turnstile. It was very soft, and he's paid the penalty this week. He's been dropped. Now, Gareth Widdop and James Graham are both playing. Gareth Widdop's final game in the NRL. He's heading to Warrington next year, so Warrington fans, cross your fingers and hope that Gareth can get through. He's stringing together a few games now and getting better each week. He was pretty good last week in a very poor Dragons side, and James Graham was sensational last week. Can't say much for the rest of his side. To be honest, the only thing that's going to fire the Dragons up is will they play for Mary McGregor? He's under fire. The board have called for a coaching review, which is the old getting the full backing of the board email in your computer inbox. Once you hear a review's been called, your job is really under fire. So I feel for Mary McGregor and I hope the Dragons respond. But I think at home, I think the Titans will actually get this done in a tri-fest. Titans by 2. All right, Sunday. This is the big one. Winner take all. It's a sold-out Leichhardt. It's the Tigers in 9th versus the Sharks in 8th. Don't worry about for and against on this one. That only comes into play if they draw and the Broncos lose. It's winner take all. The winner's into the playoffs. The loser is out. Now, there's some really interesting things here. The Tigers' last 2 games have scored 40 plus. They're in form. Benji Marshall has been absolutely killing it. He's playing some of the best football of his career. He looks so content in his own skin. He's up against Sean Johnson, who didn't play last week. He's back this week. Rocks or Diamonds. Oh, the Sharks fans will be praying praying for diamonds. Tigers fans obviously hope rocks. Now, the interesting thing is Chris McQueen has been named on an extended bench, but the big news on the extended bench is Moses Mbai and Robbie Farah. He's got a broken leg. Man, Robbie, if you can get on that field, all power to you, mate. He's doing every effort he can. He doesn't want his career to finish off the field. He wants to get on the park for the Tigers for 2040, the postcode. Now, I'm looking forward to the battle in the centres. Paul Momirovski and Essen Masters were brilliant last week. Watch them go this week, but they're up against the young gun Bronson Sherry and Josh Morris. That could decide this game. I actually think the back row battle is an absolute beauty. Luke Garner, Chris Lawrence and Ryan Madison up against Paul Gallen, Wade Graham and Britton Nakora. Two sensational back rows. That could be where the game is won and lost. But I actually think it's advantage Sharks on the bench. Braden Hamlin-Ueli, Andrew Fafita and Jack Williamson, Kurt Capel. That is a great bench. I actually think if the Sharks can get over the Tigers, who are running on emotion off this sold-out crowd, I actually think the Sharks will sneak this in. They lost by a field goal this week. They're going to win by a field goal this week. Sharks by 1 and to make the top 8. Now, we finish off Panthers Knights, the underachievers, nothing to play for. It's 11th and 10th. Neither of them can make the finals. James Maloney's playing his last game in the NRL. I'm looking for any desire or motivation for either team. Good luck, James. He's going to the Catalans Dragons. Who's got their mind on the job? I don't know. Look, the Knights responded last week to all the criticism by blowing the Titans away. Will it work this week? I don't think so. Panthers at home, Viliami Kikau and James Fisher-Harris in the back row. James Maloney will give it everything and ride his team to victory. Panthers by 10 to finish it off. So, my winning tips for this week are the Roosters, the Eels, the Storm, the Raiders, the Broncos, Titans, Sharks and Panthers. Enjoy your last round of the regular season and I'll see you next week for a Week 1 Finals preview.